Hi, welcome to Miss D's Director's Corner. Today we're going to talk about something that's going on in nature right now. There's lots of birds out in our communities building nests and coming back for the spring as spring just starts to erupt around us. I know that one of the things that we can do during social distancing is to take a walk. So I just want to point out that's one of the things to look for is our nest building from our feathered friends. So I'm going to read you a couple stories so you can get some ideas on what you can be looking for. And the first story is called Nestsnestsnests by Susan Kinzaneris. So this is a nest. A nest can be in a tree. A nest can be in a hole. A nest can be in the air. And a nest can be in the mud. A nest can be in the ground. Nests, nest, nest. The end. The next book that I'd like to read to you is called All Kinds of Nests. This is a science book just to give you some ideas on what to look for and maybe the kind of birds that will be nesting in those nests. The skylark builds a nest by stacking dried grass or sticks on the ground. The skylark lays about 5 eggs at a time, and she looks for food walking with quick steps. This is a skylark. A kingfisher builds its nest by making a hole in a bank by the edge of the water. The kingfisher looks for food in the water. When he sees its prey, he swoops down to catch it. The graybee builds its nest using reeds and water plants. Graybees have webbed feet and they dive into the water to feed on their prey. A woodpecker makes its nest in a hole in a tree. Woodpeckers use their sharp beaks to eat insects under the bird's bark. They have sharp claws that hang on the tree. The hummingbird makes a nest on a branch in a tree. It uses soft materials like moss and cobwebs. Hummingbirds feed on honey from flowers, fluttering their wings. Instead of making a nest, the owl lives in a hollow tree or a crack between rocks. Owls fly at night to find prey. An owl can turn its head around to see directly behind it. The magpie builds a nest in a tree by weaving sticks together. Seen from above, the magpie's nest looks like a solid round ball. This is to protect the eggs from hungry flying birds. Magpies eat varied foods, including seeds, fruits, insects, worms, scraps, and small birds and eggs. The male bowerbird makes a nest on the ground and he decorates it with fruit and flowers. If the female bowerbird likes the nest the male has made, she will mate with him. After mating, the female will make another nest for their young bowerbirds. An ostrich will dig a pit in sandy ground or lay her eggs. An ostrich is too big to fly, but it can run very fast. The female ostrich sits on the eggs in the day. The male ostrich sits on the eggs at night. The swallow makes a nest under the eaves of a building. The nest is a mixture of mud and straw. The nest has very narrow entrances to protect the babies from predators. Which is the best nest? Skylark's nest, Gravy's nest, Woodpecker's nest, Kingfisher's nest? All are best for the birds that made them. Hummingbirds, bowerbirds, owls, swallows, ostrich, and magpie. All kinds of nests. Bird makes nests that best suit their way of living. By studying their nests, we can learn about their habitats, nesting territories, materials used in nests, and about eggs and mating birds. So I want to share just a couple of nests that I've collected. I am a little bit of a collector of nests, but this would not be the time of year that I would collect my nests because the birds are making their nests and laying their eggs in their nests and creating baby birds. So we don't want to be collecting nests right now, so we should just be looking to where those buildings are happening. But I have collected in the fall time when the birds have moved on or flew south for the winter, and I want to share some of those nests with you. The robin is our state bird. And what I love about the robin's nest is the robin actually uses mud as its glue to put all its weavings together. And it makes a pretty solid nest. I've probably had this nest for, I don't know, I would say probably about 20 years. And it's still could be used by a bird, I think. The construction and the ingenuity of this nest is just something to behold. And this is what the robin looks like. And this bird also, when it comes back in the spring, is kind of one of our first signs of spring. And I've seen tons of robins recently. The next nest that I've collected, I have to tell you a story about this nest. Whether you might not believe this story, but one of my favorite birds is the Baltimore Oriole. They're bright orange. The male one is bright orange with black. And I have a really hard time finding these, even though I know they exist in our communities. But I love when I see one. And when I was collecting nests, I always wanted a Baltimore Oriole nest because I really find this nest to be really interesting. The Baltimore Oriole actually builds like a little bag. Like you can put your hand in this bag and it hangs from the tree. It's like a pocket. And the weaving is so tight. So what happened was one day I was walking up the road and I was thinking about my nest collection and I was talking to my husband and I said, I really would like to have a Baltimore Oriole nest. That would be just a great nest to have to add to my collection. And we were walking up the road and there was this lump of something in the middle of the road. It had been raining the day before. And I went over to see what it was, and unbelievable to me, it was actually a Baltimore Oriole nest sitting in the middle of the road. And I had just been talking to him about collecting a Baltimore Oriole nest. It was just like, it fell down out of the tree to be there for me. So I now have a Baltimore Oriole's nest. I take very good care of it because I don't think I'll ever find another one. But I just find that the way they build their nests is unbelievable, how they weave things and just the pocket design of it. Again, that's a Baltimore Oriole. Now this is a house finch. This nest I've had for a very long time as well. And I keep this nest because it just shows me the different kinds of things that they grab from our communities. It looks like there's some kind of dryer, lint, or something like that this bird used, and it uses all different kinds of straw, but it actually gives a soft protection for its eggs when it puts its eggs in there. It's a little bit of a messy nest, and so it doesn't last very long after the babies have moved on. It kind of falls apart, but anyway, I saved this nest so I can look at the different materials, and this is what our house finch looks like. And the last nest was found by my daughter. This is a hummingbird. I wouldn't imagine that you'd really be able to see this nest very well because it is so tiny. If you can see it in my hand. Now hummingbirds, they build their nests with spider webs, which I think is kind of ingenious as well because spider webs tend to be sticky, so it also acts like a glue. But then they very often fill the nest with something soft for their eggs. Now the size of their eggs are about the size of a Tic Tac, which is very, very, very tiny. This is a very, very tiny bird. And I feel pretty blessed to have that nest, because that nest I'm pretty sure would be hard to see and hard to find. And that's my nest collection. So here's how you can help our birds build nests and give them the tools that they need, and to give them some of the softness that they like to put on the bottom of their nest for their baby chicks. So you can take something like something very thin and knitted, and I'm actually going to punch some holes in this so the birds can actually access the materials inside. So you can use something like this, you can use some netting, you can use an old pair of nylons, something like that. So you're going to put some holes. And then you're going to take some materials around the house. One thing they really do like is dryer lint, and I don't know about your house, but my house has a lot of dryer lint. So you can put that in the middle of your nest. You can take some straw or hay from outside, and you can put that. You can take any kind of hair or something soft like hair and put it in your nest. You can take some leaves, break them up. You can take some sticks from outside and pieces of yarn. And you can make a nesting ball for the birds outside. And you can hang this on a fence, a tree, on a porch, and you can just leave it out there for the birds, and they'll come along and they'll take some of the materials and use this to build a nest with. So that's something how we can help our feathered friends as they come back and join us for spring. And I have one more activity for you that I will put up online for everybody. I have a picture of all the birds that we might find in our backyards in the state of Connecticut. And so I want to challenge you to go on a scavenger hunt while you're out walking. And as you see the different birds that we might find in our backyards in the state of Connecticut, just put a little check on them so we can see our bird watchers and whom they might find in our neighborhoods. That's one thing. And then also I will be putting up another scavenger hunt on our website. Just a different scavenger hunt where you're out walking around. You can create your own scavenger hunt, and just for something to do while you're out walking and something to look at.